Good morning.
I just wondered if your listeners know how good a football player you were. I can still see you playing that fullback, knocking those players out of the way. And I believe I could have run behind you. Martin, I can remember when we stood the center and you put him fullback up there. That's wrong what out in the because you saw us the whole way. I wanted to get you, and I really got two things that biggest mistake we ever made.
The Martin Houston Show with national championship winning fullback Martin Houston, giving you 1 hour of intense, hard-hitting analysis from an insider's perspective. It's time for the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Good morning. This is the Martin Houston Show, but this is not Martin today. It is Xavier Houston, his son of X's and O's Sports Podcast. I'm hosting today for my dad while he is traveling, so safe travels. Mom and Dad, we'll see you when you get back. And I'm also here with Joe Gaither in the studio. How you doing this morning, Joe?
Well, having a great day today, Xavier. Good to see you. We can step in and have a little fun while your dad's away.
Yeah, this is a pretty cool opportunity and exciting time. But, hey, let's go ahead and jump into some sports. I know a lot of Alabama people also tend to be Atlanta Braves fans. They are in the World Series for the first time since 1999, and they are playing the Houston Astros. The first game went to the Braves 6-2, but they did suffer an injury to starting pitcher Charlie Morton, who ended up throwing 16 pitches on a broken leg, which is absolutely insane. And then you turn around and they drop game two to the Houston Astros. So as the game moves back to Atlanta, the series is tied 1-1. Joe, being from Georgia, are you a big Braves fan?
Actually, Xavier, I have an interesting relationship with Atlanta and their sports teams. I actually am in love with the Atlanta Curse. I hope that they get up 3-1 and maybe get deep into that fourth game and blow it. I hope they blow it in spectacular fashion. I love the Atlanta Sports Curse.
that seems to be a thing. So I grew up a Braves fan. Being from Alabama, there's no pro sports teams. So we tend to gravitate to the closest ones, or luckily for me, my dad playing for the Steelers. I'm a Steelers fan, and basketball is LeBron, but always been a Braves fan since day one. So I'm excited for them, and I hope they pull this one out. We talk a little bit of
Charlie Morton throwing 16 pitches on a broken leg.
Yeah, that's absolutely insane.
What's the most extreme thing you did on an injury?
That I did?
Or that you heard of? I know my senior year, I had 3 games left in the year. I tore my ACL as a sophomore, and my senior year, I knew I tore it again in practice, like a couple weeks before the end of the season, and I was like, I'm gonna stick this out and not say anything. But I wasn't doing anything. I wasn't like going to college. I wasn't like a big time player. I played sporadically. So did you have anything where you were like, not like you broke your leg and you pitched 16 pitches in the World Series, striking out some guys, but anything like that?
I played my last 2 games in high school. Essentially, I got hurt on the first play of the game in the quarterfinals my senior year. Got turned around in the pile and took a shot directly to the neck. By halftime, I couldn't turn my head left or right, and played the entire game. Didn't miss a snap. Playing running back and defensive end. And it was come to find out, I had a bruised spinal cord, muscle contusion, and all that. And I played 2 games like that. So yeah, a little crazy, but senior year, having the chance to go to state, wasn't gonna miss it. Yeah. But yeah, moving on to the Tennessee game. A lot of good things, a lot of bad things happened in that game. The biggest thing for me was Bryce using his legs more for the first time, really becoming a part of the run game, because that's what we all expected from Bryce. A lot of people hyped him up as the talent level of Tua as a passer and the running ability of Jalen, which when we heard that, we were like, man, this guy's going to be all world from day one. And it kind of was frustrating through the first parts of the season, but as it slowly has come along, he's started to run more, career high 42 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns. How impressive was that for you? He's definitely making a case for that. When you look at his overall skill set, and especially as time progresses, having another, we would love to have Bryce for another 3 years, but realistically, we've probably got him for about another 20 games max. But yeah, I think he's slowly improving, and he'll slowly work his way into that top spot. A lot of people say it's Tua talent wise. AJ's the winner. So I think Bryce has the opportunity to surpass both of those guys over this year and next, and maybe another year after that. But Brian Robinson again showing that he can be the bell cow, the heavy hitter at running back, 107 yards, 3 touchdowns. Is there anything left to you that he has to prove?
To prove, no, I think he just needs to keep performing at the same level. Really, what's left to prove is if he can overcome the hurdles of this offense, only having a couple of receivers that he can count on. And that's even a debate. The up and down production of the tight ends, the protection issues he's been facing. I think the running game's been great. Been pretty good, not great. Been pretty good all year. Bryce Young's been, the guy Atlas holding up the world, kind of doing it all.
Yeah, definitely. And then you look at the performances of John Mechie and Jameson Williams over this past week, both going over 100 yards this past weekend, and Mechie setting a career high with 11. What about their performances as a whole? Because I think you're truly seeing what these guys bring. Jameson again over 20 yards per catch, and then you turn around and you look at Mechie, who's not gonna beat you deep a whole lot, but he's always gonna find that opening in the defense, able to get a catch and get a first down. Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's where it gets kind of tricky when you look at what we've had. You get spoiled. You're talking about 4 guys that were drafted in the top 15 over the course of 2 drafts. Yeah, and then you go back a little bit before that, and you have Ridley who went first round. So sometimes we look at guys and we go, oh my God, they got to be that level of what the other guy is to be special. But I'm not necessarily sure if that's what it takes to for this team to win. We're very balanced overall, and it doesn't mean you have to have one guy go for 1,000 or go for 150 every game like we saw last year with Devontae. That was more of a needed than this year. The fact that you have, and as you say, you have the younger guys that are coming in, Trayshawn Holden getting more playing time, making big catches over the last few weeks. The up and down play of the tight end has been a little frustrating from the fan viewpoint. But when they're hitting, they're hitting. Cameron Latou had 3 catches for 55 yards Saturday. So I'm not sure that we need – and let's be real. We saw Ruggs have a bad game. We saw Judy have a bad game. Smith and Waddle all have bad games. The difference was you had 3 other first-round caliber guys there to pick up that slack. And so it gets a little bit spoiled as a Bama fan.
Yeah, you definitely get spoiled. And you're right that Ruggs was not always in there. And really, it was always one of them taking turns and somebody kind of sitting back. So there's a lot more pressure on Mechie and Williams right now being the main 2 guys.
Yeah, definitely. But they've been solid. They've had their moments, their minutes where they've shined, and as long as they can, as long as one of them's on, I don't think Alabama's going to have issues. But we need to be wary of that game where they both have a bad game. Mechie had the bad game against A&M. Williams goes off. Williams struggles a little bit against Tennessee. Mechie goes off. As long as we're able to have one of them consistently going 6 to 10 catches, 120 yards, and a couple touchdowns, I think we'll be solid. And I don't see anybody until potentially Georgia that has a defense that can stop us in that type form of fashion.
Let me ask you this: we're talking about if they have a bad game, which I think is totally plausible. If they have a bad game, how do you feel about where we are with Jaleel Billingsley and Cameron Latou? Billingsley really kind of taking a step back over the last couple of weeks. I know Latou had a better game this past week, but I have felt like Billingsley might be playing to the next level already. The whole year, I feel like he's probably already got his mind in the NFL. How have you felt about those 2 guys? I know, and maybe we can get more out of them.
Yeah, I think Jaleel kind of let everybody get in their ear, the hype at the beginning of the season, and it's kind of delayed his progress of what it should be this year. But Latou has been a little bit more consistent as far as the structure of the game is gone. So once again, if one of them is on, I don't think Alabama is in that dire of a situation, because we have also proven over the last few weeks that we're willing to throw it to B-Rob. We're willing to throw it to Roydale, and even bringing in, Trayshawn, who has 5 or 6 catches over the last 2 games and is playing more snaps, which I think Alabama seems to be more comfortable moving Mechie into the slot and then moving Trayshawn out to the wide receiver spot. But we need to get to a break, and we can continue this conversation on the other side. And we will also bring up the Jai Hall situation. So if anybody has any questions, you can call in at the Taco Casa hotline, and we will be here to answer your calls.
Call us at 205-342-9904. We'll be back with more of the Martin Houston Show right after this.
Tide 9 traffic.
From the town to Nissan Traffic Center, a rainy start to our Thursday morning. We already have car 2059 westbound before exit 73 at McFarland. So just slow down and be careful. If you see other conditions, give us a call. It's the month-end countdown at Townsend Nissan. That always means great savings for you. Go get them. I'm Cap Ray.
Indeed helps find great hires fast. Indeed is your all-in-one platform for interviewing, screening, and hiring high-quality people. Visit Indeed.com/credit.
At Shell, we know from the time you get up to the time you wrap up, there's a lot of meet up, eat up, and hurry up. So come to Shell and get 3 things done at once. Fill up with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus to help keep your engine running like new. Save up fuel reward program and never pay full price for gas again. And set up with in-store rooms to save even more. Make the most of the stop you need to make with Shell. An engine that can smoothly use Nitro Plus premium gas. See full terms and conditions at fuelrewards.com.
Don't miss a play at the Sportsbook at Pearl Resort. Your front row seats to all the action.
We are back with the Martin Houston show, and we'll be going to the Taco Casa hotline with Robert from Mobile. Hey, Robert, how you doing this morning?
Particularly what you said about the receiving core. And like you said, you got 4 guys that first round NFL pick. It's hard act to follow. Like you said, I was hoping Gillespie would turn into like Kyle Pitt, tight end and / wide receiver that just a matchup nightmare for all the teams. But right now, he just doesn't seem to be showing the fearlessness to catch the ball that you need the tight end, especially when he wants to go to the NFL. Or even if you want to be a wide receiver, you got to have a certain amount of fearlessness there too. I'm going to catch the ball. Yeah, I see that safety coming, but I'm going to catch the ball first, but the safety afterwards. But right now, he's not showing that kind of fearlessness. He got the ability. He got the ability to be as good as Kyle Pitt. But it seems like he wants to catch a ball when there's nobody that can really lay a hit on him. At least that's what it looks like sometimes. And that's what do you think?
Oh, yeah. He had a gator arm that won against Tennessee where he was wide open down the middle, and it really did seem like he didn't want to take the hit. So you definitely hit a good point of the fearlessness being lacking there. And he's not a small guy. He's not a massive tight end, but you're still talking 6'4", 230 pounds. He should be able to take a hit from a safety, make the catch, and keep it. So is it do you think it's because he's been looking forward to the NFL all season, or the hype of how everybody was talking about him before the season started? Where this came from, especially from a guy who looked like he was coming on late at the end of last year?
I hope he's not looking forward to the NFL, well, how do you get there and how you get your money is you got to show out in college. But it does look weird, but man, I was like, I don't want to take a hit type of situation where I don't want to get hurt for the NFL. That's the last thing you want to show the NFL. I mean, you definitely want to show the NFL that, especially if you get in a position you want to play. So it does look like he doesn't want to take a big hit, and that's being the case, man. You know how many games to show out next year? At best 7 games, if we go all the way. So you've got to show out now, and getting ready to do it for the rest of the season. And like you said, with Mechie and Cameron and Jameson Williams, it does seem like our coaching staff is maybe with Ajay Hall. I guess there's off the field activity with Ajay Hall that keep him off the field. But Holden, he's showing a lot of ability. Shouldn't he be out there more? It's tough to when you're sitting behind Devontae, Jalen Waddle, Ruggs, Judy. You understand those guys are just NFL studs.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to leave behind them. But when you got behind those guys and you see people dropping balls, I understand their frustration. But John Hall maybe is just off the field, man. Okay, you pick off the field activity, go to class or whatever Nick Saban said.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what's been going on with the Jai. He's again one of those guys that got really hyped after the spring game. But if you go back and watch the spring game, he was making those plays against a guy that was a walk-on who's no longer on the team, and then Ronald Williams, who is now at Michigan State. So the guy, and he was with the second team. He never ran with the first team. So that was his level from the get-go. But I hope he stays because the tweets of quitting and everything like that. I hope he's able to mature and move forward and help this team win in the future. But I appreciate the call, Robert. I got to get on to the next caller. You have a good one.
Sure, man. Thanks.
Yes, sir. And we will have Tom in on the call now. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you this morning?
I am doing wonderful.
Great. Well, I was told in about Ajay Hall, and I was curious to what his status is right now. It's like he's still on the team. Did he transfer? What's the deal with it?
Honestly, I'm not really sure. He wasn't on the sideline for the Tennessee game. And so, honestly, I'm going to take a wild guess and say he was probably suspended for it due to his tweets. I mean, you go look through his tweets and his likes and things like that. He's struggling. And, as a young player, as talented as he is, you can see why sometimes it can be frustrating when you're not getting on the field. But, he's not the first guy at Alabama that has had to wait their turn to shine. I mean, he has a lot of great examples of that. He can look at Alabama's star running back right now and Brian Robinson, a guy that waited until year 5 to get on the field and be the man, and he's making the most of the opportunity. I mean, you even look at Devontae Smith. Devontae Smith went from being Alabama's 3rd or 4th option to win a Heisman. So, and Mac Jones, Mac came in behind a year after Jalen and in the same class as Tua, and he waited his turn. And so far at the NFL level, he's been the best of the 3. So some guys get impatient. Some guys don't last. I mean, and he's not the first guy that's gotten impatient about playing time. But he's the first guy that we've seen be so public about it. So I think it was just a suspension, but it could be more.
Well, you bringing up the fact that he's not the first guy to go through this, and that is absolutely true. But when I was thinking about him and the conversation this morning, it came to my mind that Eddie Jackson was kind of like this when he was at Alabama, and he had to go through some of these. I don't think social media was as prevalent when Eddie was here as it is now, and but he went through some kind of rough times. But boy, he sure come out on the other side very well, and I'm hoping that's what Ajayi does. Is he looks around and uses the biblical principles. He's got a whole cloud of witnesses.
Yeah.
From the Hebrew letter, and the writer was trying to encourage the people to do the right thing, and he said, "Look, you got a whole cloud of to look at, and does as well. He's got a whole cloud of witnesses that went through some tough times, but came out with a very successful story. And I'm hoping that he picks up on that, don't you?"
You never want to see a guy. You never want to see a guy quit or leave when they have the talent level that Ajayi does have. You want to tough it out, but not everybody's built for it at the end of the day. So you just kind of got to roll with it. And if he does decide to leave, you know what? The best of luck to Ajayi. But if he stays, I'll be his number one fan once he finally gets the opportunity to get on the field and play. But you just have to be patient. I mean, there's so many guys through the Saban era and even before, like my dad was redshirted as a freshman and then was Kevin Turner's backup for 3 years. He finally got a chance to start in 92. He was the starting fullback on the national championship team, the only national championship team between Coach Bryant and Coach Saban. Sometimes waiting your turn is worth it at the end of the day.
That's right. Anyway, thanks. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yes, sir. All right, guys. We will be heading to break, and when we come back, we will have Hank South of 247 Sports and Bama Online on the other side.
Tide 100.9 traffic. From the
Already start to our Thursday morning. We already have a wreck on 2059 westbound before exit 73 at McFarland. Just slow down. Be careful. If you see additions, give us a call. It's the month-end countdown at Townsend Nissan. That always means great savings for you. Go get them. I'm Cat Gray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with Martin Houston, one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash. Check out the premium wash packages up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you can be one of the great members of Overflow. Keep our cars looking good inside and out by
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. You can call us at 205-342-9904. The Taka Casa hotline is open, but we are joined with Hank South of 247 Sports and Bama Online. How are you doing today, Hank?
Hank South. So who joins us from 247 Sports every Thursday, and we would welcome him now into the program as it was a huge.
Hey.
Let's start with Kenyatta Goodwin, and let's see about his visit. Kentucky commit, if I'm correct. How was his visit to Alabama?
Watch it as going. Keonta was posting on it. I think he was hanging out with Bryce Young, Tyler Booker, Nick Saban, Doug Marone. So he was kind of giving a play-by-play of his visit on his Twitter account, which was fun to see. But he did catch up with 247 Sports after the visit about the whole thing. He even said he was going to try to maybe come back for another visit in December. So that is something to watch. So, he's still committed to Kentucky. He didn't split for anything. It sounds like Bama has a legitimate shot to flip him and maybe have some momentum in this recruitment kind of at this point for, about 7 or 8 weeks before the early signing. That'll be a guy we're watching, and that would be huge, flip if Alabama was able to that one done.
Yeah. How you doing today? When you look at a guy like Kenyatta Goodwin, you're talking about he giving his play-by-play. He took a picture next to Evan Neal, and my God, I did not know that they made humans bigger than Evan Neal. This kid is absolutely a monster. And of course, as you said, he's still committed to Kentucky, but you think these guys that are in this class are going to be able to potentially persuade them? I mean, there's some heavy hitters that Alabama has doing some recruiting for them.
Yeah, I think the peer recruiting is a kind of underrated thing. I think kids, they're able to talk to the guys a lot more than the coaches can. They're able to see them more often. They meet these guys out on the camp circuit. So, those relationships are sometimes just as important as the relationships they have with the coaches. And oftentimes, think about it, when coaches take other jobs in the off season, Alabama has a lot of assistant turnover every year. It seems like, they still have those standing relationships with the guys in the class. So those can be really important. Guys like Ty Simpson has helped. Tyler Booker obviously has been a big part. Jeremiah Alexander. So, those guys will be big. And, Jedrick Wills also, or not Jedrick, Keonta Goodwin, has like Jedrick Wills or even Tanner Bowles, two guys from Kentucky. He's from Indiana, but he's mid Kentucky. But, going head to head, those pastors against Kentucky, he has those guys to maybe ask questions about or, kind of see their experience. So, I think they have a good shot at this one.
Yeah, and speaking of guys that have been committed to other schools, is there any updates on Char James?
Yeah, no, he hasn't done an interview yet. He's kind of been quiet from Florida a couple weeks ago, but he did make it to Tuscaloosa last week as expected. I think the visit went really well. I talked to some people that were around him. Sounds like they had a really good time. He's going to take an official to Georgia next weekend. He can be back in Athens when they host Missouri.
that's what I'm watching. I do think this is, kind of a 50-50 thing with Alabama and Georgia at this point. Both schools are pressing for him. So, we'll see. I talked to one person close to it. They think he's torn. So I don't think there's one school with an edge right now. But, looking at it historically, Shamar James has been fond of Alabama. He named Bama his favorite school after his official visit back in the summer. So, he has that long-standing history. Georgia is pressing for him. I think they have his attention. But, I think he has a lot of liking about Alabama, too. So, we'll see how that one turns out in the next few weeks.
Awesome. And a guy that, he's a 5-star, but nobody that I've heard has talked about him a lot is Samuel, I think he's got Imba from IMG Academy. So, a couple of his teammates are committed to Bama. He said he's getting ready to make a decision. What are Alabama chances to land him?
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting one. Samuel Pemba from IMG Academy. He's a guy, we've written about a few times throughout the summer. I think he's still rated the number one athlete in the country in the class of 2023. So he's got another year or so before he actually has to make to sign the letter of intent or anything. But he tweeted the other night that, or from Instagram, he's commit soon. I talked to him a little bit over DM. He said it is a commitment, which was kind of curious to me. He's a guy. He's actually from Africa. His family's from Africa. He was in Africa all summer visiting, so he took no college visits throughout the summer. He didn't do any workouts. He didn't do anything. So that was kind of interesting. And one of the schools he wanted to see was Alabama. You just didn't have a chance to being back at home throughout the summer. So that Bama is recruiting him. I think they like him a lot. 6'4", 230, number one athlete in the country for next year's class. But I think that they probably want to see a little bit more of him. They haven't seen him in person yet. So we'll see if he goes through with a commitment or if where things stand there. But he's definitely a guy to remember and keep an eye on, because even if he doesn't make a commitment now, where it is, I don't think that it's going to be anywhere close to over.
Okay. Yeah, I thought it was kind of interesting that you don't hear much about him as being a big name guy, but it's because he hasn't been to camp or anything, which makes sense now. So this one is actually going to make me feel a little bit old. Dre Kirkpatrick Jr.
Xavier or not, might be having some phone connection issues with you, sir. But Martin, but Hank, I want to shift gears a little bit while he's getting resettled to Brandon Miller and the basketball team. Alabama basketball has two.
Yeah. Cool.
Good spot for him. He was a guy that obviously, he's got the ties to Alabama. His dad played football in Alabama in the '90s, so he's familiar with the program. He took his official visit. Spoke really highly of the whole thing throughout the stay. Got to meet with Nick Saban, did everything. And he was close to making a decision back in September. He held off. Kansas was getting more involved. He was considering the G League. But, I think through it all, I think Bama's had that momentum for him. And I think they still have a good shot for him ahead of Monday. So, that's the guy that could certainly be a splash to the class, joining Jaden Bradley, already committed. Then you got a guy like Noah Connie, who's just coming off an official visit this past weekend to Alabama. He's going to make a decision on Monday as well. 4-star power forward from South Carolina. He spoke with our guy Travis Branham on 24/7 Sports about each school. I don't know if there's an outright favorite at this point. He likes everything. He likes the things. He likes the campus. The visit was amazing. So, he's considering Bama, Indiana, Virginia Tech. So that's kind of the three programs to watch for Noah County on Monday. So, there's other decisions coming out too. So, the next 2 weeks for basketball recruiting could be certainly momentum building for the program.
Yeah, these guys that are coming in at Bama, it's a new wave, which I think is absolutely amazing when you see the way Nate Oates has been able to recruit and that he is doing it with Coach Saban, which I really think these programs should feed off of each other and never try to be individual entity, especially at power schools like Alabama. Just doing a quick flip back to football, Hank, this makes me feel old, even though I'm only 30, is Dre Kirkpatrick Jr. coming on an unofficial visit to Alabama this past weekend. I graduated high school the same year as Dre. Our families are from the same area. So, yeah, this one made me feel a little old. What's Dre Jr.'s opportunities looking like?
Yeah, no, he took a visit to Bama he actually was on campus over the summer. I wanted to do an interview back then, but never connected with him. But he was back on campus last week for the Tennessee game. Took a picture with AJ McCarron and Trent Richardson. So that kind of went viral because he had a picture from a while back with his dad had a picture with him from a while back on their recruiting visit. So kind of came full circle. But he's a guy. He's in the class of 2024, so he's still just a sophomore. So he's still kind of getting into the groove of things with the recruiting process. But it sounds like it's going to be a pretty good recruiting process for him. He told me that the schools he's talking to most are Alabama and Auburn. Neither school has offered yet, but they're both very interested in him. And obviously, he's got a pretty good background in football with his dad kind of being his mentor and obviously all that. So we'll see. I asked him, what's going to be the plan? Do you want to make your own path or follow your dad's footsteps? He said he hasn't really thought of that yet. He said he wants to do something, but he's also recognized. He also loves Alabama. He's been around the program his whole life. He's been Nick Saban for a long time. So that's going to be a big thing. If Bama offers, I don't think it's going to be one of those that ends his recruitment, but I think it would be a real deal to him. We'll see what happens down the line. Still got a few more years to kind of see how he develops, how he grows, and where his recruitment goes.
Yeah, I know that would be huge for him, being a legacy, especially if he got the opportunity to play for Coach Saban as well, seeing how his dad was one of the integral parts of his turnaround, and then on the turnaround and historic run Alabama has been on, his dad being the class of 2009. But, it's one of those tough things that, you make a name for yourself, you follow in your dad's footstep. We've seen guys where it worked great for him at Alabama. Of course, Marlon Humphrey's one of them. You've had guys like Keith Holcomb and so on. But it'd be absolutely insane for Coach Saban to coach a father and son duo at Alabama. But speaking of recruiting, and the news has been a lot on a guy that hasn't played a lot this year in Jai Hall. And I'm pretty sure you've seen the tweets and his frustration with playing time. His words potentially affect guys coming in who are going to be worried about playing time, or is that really not an issue at Alabama, seeing how Coach Saban has a track record and the best guys available, no matter what year they are?
Yeah, I don't think that situation is going to affect any recruiting. He's a rotational receiver. He hasn't rotated into the game yet, but he's not one of these star receivers that get interest or something. He hasn't shown the coaching staff in practice to get on the field in the game yet. That's what the staff preaches when they recruit kids. They recruit the kids with that mental mindset that you have to work for what you earn. They're going to play the best players, and if you're not performing the best, you're not going to play as much as the other guys. So they preach down the recruiting trail, and they usually, more often than not, I would say the majority of the time, they get the guys that understand that. They get the guys that buy into that. And occasionally, there's guys that they want to, they're not happy with it, or that they want to see the field, they want to do what they want to do, and that happens. I mean, they're kids after all, but we'll see what happens with the Jai. But no, I don't think it's going to affect anything on the recruiting trail for Alabama.
Yeah, I appreciate you being on, Hank. Let everybody know where they can find you.
BamaOnline.com, 24/7 Sports, and then my Twitter handle is HankSouth247.
I appreciate it, Hank. That was Hank South of 247 Sports and Bama Online. We appreciate you calling in every Thursday and talking some recruiting with us.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Xavier. Thanks, Joe.
All right, we'll head to our final break. You can always call in still at 205-342-904. But let's go ahead and get ready to wrap this show up with our 2-minute warning.
From the towns of Nissan Traffic Center, we got a wreck on US 11 northbound, Big 2059 in Cottondale, signal outage on Skylark Road, and we have a minor wreck on 69 northbound, Greensboro Road.
It hung up again. I don't know what's going on with it. I don't know. Yeah. All right, welcome back to the Martin Houston Show. You can always hit that call line, the Taco House the Taco Casa hotline at 205-342-9904. But we are back in for the 2-minute warning. Joe, you got anything for me?
Yeah, Xavier, I know you're a big Steelers guy, and I wanted to get your perspective on this. I was talking to me and my friends this past week about the rumors of Mike Tomlin being rumored up for the LSU and USC jobs. And Mike Tomlin was asked about it, and he responded, "Oh, that's a joke to me. I've got a great job. That's a joke to me. There's not a booster with a big enough check." Those responses seemed in line with Danilo and all kind of made sense to me. But then he added a throwaway line. He added a line that I thought I wanted your perspective on. He said, "We aren't asking Andy Reid and Sean Payton about vacancies. Why are y'all asking me?" And I didn't know if maybe Mike Tomlin took the reporters' questions maybe the wrong way. Maybe saying, I'm not really sure how he took the reporters' questions. I thought that he was mentioned for the USC and LSU job because he's a pretty damn coach. But maybe he took it a different way, and maybe you can help us with that. And your reaction to the Steelers. Just the rumors of Mike Tomlin maybe being out. I know the Steelers have only had 3 head coaches in their lifetime, so I think his job is pretty safe.
Yeah, I don't think he's out of the door. Yeah, I don't think he's out of the door unless he wants to be out of the door. Honestly, it's his job till he's ready to leave. He's never had a losing season. The worst he's done is 500, and of course, as you said, Coach Cowher goes back to 92, and then before that, it was Coach Noel in the 60s. So I don't think he's in threat of losing his job. Maybe the talks are because you see the Saints are okay, but not doing what they're accustomed doing up under Drew Brees with Sean Payton. The Chiefs have looked horrendous. They're literally ranked last in every category on defense. And of course, we've seen the struggles that the Steelers have had, from the year Big Ben got hurt to last year, tailing off at the end and having their ups and downs so far this year. So maybe that has something to do with it. Maybe he doesn't have he's taking it from that somewhere. He's like, you're questioning me because my team has struggled, but you're not questioning these other coaches when their team has struggled as well. So maybe that's it. But it might be more. I don't know.
Probably right on that. That's actually better than what my friends were saying. And I was like, "Oh, is he taking it in a racially like they're white and he's black?" But I think you probably hit a better spot. Where all 3 of our organizations are kind of struggling just a little bit, a little bit. But I'm not looking for a new job, and they're not either. Everybody's trying to be focused on their own job. I think that you'd probably bring up the right perspective.
Yeah, Joe, I appreciate you today. This has been an absolute blast getting to host the Martin Houston Show by myself for the first time, and I will be back doing it tomorrow. So everybody tune in again tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. for the Martin Houston Show, hosted by myself, Xavier Houston, the host of X's and O's Sports. You can find me across all platforms at X's and O's Sports, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram. It's been a blast, Joe. And as my dad, this is the day that the Lord has made. Rejoice and be glad in it. Everyone have a blessed day.